Hello, and welcome back to yet another ELA Hockaday YouTube video. In case you haven't heard, YouTube has sent the official results 183 subscribers. So if you haven't already, hit the bell icon for notifications or like, comment, subscribe. You know the vibes. Come join the family. The ELA Hockaday YouTube channel. Our next video has to do with the non-fiction questions that you will see on the grade 9 NJSLA. This is a multiple choice guide to help give you all the tips and tricks that you need to know in order to feel prepared. Check out the links in the description. There'll be more helpful resources there as well. And without further ado, let's dive right in. So, what can we expect on the non-fiction multiple choice section? Well, you can expect at least 2 readings and possibly a paired reading, where there will be 2 articles that you can make some comparisons or contrasts between. Usually they are in reference to the same topic or genre. Bruh. What else? There's some potential challenges that pertains to the nonfiction multiple choice section of the NJSLA for English language arts. Number 1, nonfiction articles are usually a little bit longer and can sometimes be perceived as a bit more complex, because we're typically dealing within science research articles or something from history. As a result, some of that vocabulary might be a little bit specific or unknown to you personally. For example, if it's an article about biology, we're not going to say that the patient broke their arm, we'll say that they broke their humerus bone. Not knowing that domain-specific vocabulary in conjunction with the context could pose a challenge with the multiple choice questions. And last but not least, we got to keep in mind fatigue, right? You're going to be getting a little tired as you go through these questions and as the test adapts up and down. It's important that you stay locked in because every answer matters. It's making your test either get more difficult or advanced in terms of the level, or it's going to be getting easier because you're getting questions wrong. It's important that you take a moment, breathe, and reset for each question so that way you can give your best effort. What else to look out for in our nonfiction multiple choice? I'm so happy you asked. Number 1, my first tip is to review the reading first. Usually the reading, when it first pops up, will have a nice little blurb or background that gives you some helpful context information about the article that you're about to dive into. Don't skip over that. It could give you some nice context before you start answering the questions. Number 2, understand the types of questions you're likely going to face when you're faced with a nonfiction article on the NJSLA grade 9. First and foremost, you got your vocab and context questions. And secondly, you have claim and evidence. Tip number 3, not that we don't care about your feelings, but as it pertains to the NJSLA, students will often say, well, why'd you pick option B? Or why'd you pick C? And kids will often be like, well, I just felt like it was right. We're not here to talk about your feelings. This is not a therapy session. If it is not stated in the text, it should not be reflected in your answer choice. So always go back to the text. Don't just rely on your intuition as you come across each question, because then you'll definitely pay the price. Also, you're going to want to refer to what I call answer descriptors before you go through the process of elimination. We'll go over an answer descriptor in an example coming up soon. Are you ready for some examples? I thought so. Let's dive in. Our first question type that we're going to address is a vocabulary and context question. Here we talk about a paragraph excerpt, in this case Oppenheimer, who is the creator of the atomic bomb. Now you don't have the text available, but just from this question, recipient of confidences, we could often fall into a pitfall. Confidence usually means that someone's got high self-esteem, which means that a student might be tempted to choose A or B, or even D. You're confident of your own abilities, it means you're probably winning awards and people support you. But notice C is the only one that doesn't belong. In the context of the reading, when Oppenheimer says he's the recipient of confidences, it means he received confidential or private information. So therefore, C is the only logical choice for this answer. For part B, it's asking you to refer back to the text. I'll give you a moment to review. In this particular case, some people might be tempted to choose option B because he said, I would have liked to talk to you guys earlier, but I couldn't. Why couldn't I talk to you? Because I was keeping secrets. But really, that doesn't expose the reason why he didn't talk to them in that quote. Instead, the best answer for this particular question would be option A, because he's saying, look, you might ask me something and I will choose not to answer it. Therefore, I'm protecting confidential information. C for question number 1, A for question number 2, part B. So when we're considering these vocab and context questions, it's important that we first think about what word are they asking us about. The denotation of that word is the literal meaning that we know straight off the top, comes from the dictionary. So confidence we know means high self-esteem. But the connotation of that word or the connotation of that meaning is equally, if not more important. Looking at the context, in this case, confidence meaning confidentiality, was the key to unlocking the right answer. Last but not least, with a vocab and context question, think back to what's the author's primary purpose. In this case, Oppenheimer was talking to a bunch of scientists, so of course he was trying to keep the atomic bomb under wraps and explaining his process in developing that technology. Our next type of question is claim and evidence. What's the author's primary purpose? Usually you could find the author's purpose in the first sentence, because they'll give you their thesis statement, or in the last paragraph or last couple sentences as they summarize their overall points. Being able to identify the primary claim of what the author is trying to state in a nonfiction article can really go a long way in helping you with these multiple choice questions. Even more so when they give you a gimme like this and they're only referring to a specific section from the text. Still sticking with Oppenheimer as our example, we could see here that they're focusing primarily on paragraph 7. That is super helpful because why am I going to waste my time going through paragraphs 1 through 6 and 9 through 12 if they're only asking me about paragraph 7 in this particular case? And so, it is not good to be a scientist or possible unless you share your knowledge with everyone who's interested. How does he back that up? Well, in this particular case, the correct answer would be D. You don't have the article, but at least you could see that that's the example that is given in terms of the types of questions you might see. Now, here's where I get to answer descriptors, a very overlooked test-taking strategy that isn't often covered. Here we have the same question, paragraph 7, but there are descriptors within it that can help give us a clue. Here's what I mean by that. Is he offering an analysis? Is he giving data? Is he highlighting history? Or is he talking about his beliefs? Seeing and highlighting these answer descriptors can help us kind of more narrowly do our process of elimination rather than looking at the entire answer option. Also keep in mind transitions, which are often missed, such as however, nevertheless, unless, moreover, or for example, which can often change the meaning of the text dramatically. Also, don't skip over when the question says all the following except, or which of the following are not. Common pitfalls for students to get questions wrong unnecessarily. And it seems like that's all the time we have for today's video. Stay tuned for the next video in the playlist, which will be our final one in the NJSLA video series, going over nonfiction writing responses and some of the tips and tricks you can use to have success if you get a research synthesis task on the NJSLA Grade 9 assessment. Check out the link for more resources and clickable items for your review. Thanks again for watching. This has been another ELA Hakaday YouTube video, signing out.